Great. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm so glad you're joining us for this retail-focused Windstream webinar. We'll be recording this session, like I just mentioned, for anyone who couldn't join us. But super excited to get things kicked off with Tony Bender, our Director of Strategic Solutions, and then Sue Olsen will be presenting. She's our Retail Services Consultant. With that, take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Mary. Welcome to everyone for our third installment of our channel education programs. For those of you that have not been able to join us for one of the past ones, we highlighted our SD-WAN platforms and the availability on those, as well as the richness of our UCaaS portfolio. I am blessed enough to lead a large group of what I guess I would call subject matter experts and thought leaders. So with that, today's session is on retail and sort of how we take the approach to retail. So with that, I will turn it over to Sue Olsen.
Thank you, Tony and Mary. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I look forward to spending the next 30 or so minutes with you. So as Tony was saying, today we're going to talk about retail and the conversation that we have with retailers and the approach that we take. We have kind of a similar approach that we use for restaurants, but I'm going to keep this focused on specifically to retail. Just know we have something similar we can do for restaurants as well. And we have vertical industry consultants, so I handle the retail part of the vertical, and then we have healthcare covered by John Hamilton. So while we have, as in Tony's team, subject matter experts that he was talking about, behind the scenes that can be brought to in customer facing and help you sell. We also have, the vertical specialists can help as well. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that portion. As Tony mentioned, we had a couple other sessions already. And so if you haven't seen those are recorded and you can watch those at a later time. So let's get started. And we're going to actually start with a survey. So Mary's going to kick that off for us. So take a couple of minutes and answer the survey, and then we'll go ahead and keep going. And at the end of our time, or towards the end, then we'll share the final results. All right, so.
I'll just minimize this and keep it open.
Okay, great. All right, so as I said, when we talk to retailers, we use a certain approach, and this has worked very well, across the chain and how we're talking to retailers. But we usually start with the customer journey, and the customer journey isn't new. So we've had the customer journey. You've probably seen, when I go to my next slide, you've probably seen this before. But the journey is different now, right? In the last 6 months, there's been a lot of changes where we used to talk about the customer experience and how important that was, and it still is important. But we talked a lot about personalizing that experience and how to ensure that customer had an experience that was tailored to their interests and their needs. And that's changed. That's really changed over the past 6 months to be, the overarching principle now is safety. So our customers that come into retailers, they want to know that they're safe. They want to know that the employees are safe, but they also want a frictionless experience. As we've seen, the digital has just accelerated in the past few months at just a very great rate. And so, consumers now have more experiences, with digital. There's more of a digital first mindset. So they have had more experience, both good and bad. And they know what, so it sort of raised the bar for their expectations on how their experience with a retailer is going to be. And by the way, that crosses all channels. It's not just in store or online, it's everything. So that bar's been raised. the consumer is, they know, what it's like to have a good experience, and they know what it's like to have a bad experience. And I'm sure you all have had these good and bad experiences in the last few months. But that's really sticks with the customer. So a customer might have a bad experience and then never go back to a retailer because of it. Or to the contrary, they might have a good experience and then continue to go back to a retailer that maybe they hadn't shopped at before, but because it was such a good experience and very easy and they felt safe, then they would continue with that customer. So it's important, to kind of keep that in the back of a retailer's mind. What can they do to continue to make this frictionless, to look at the entire journey and how that is perceived by the customer and experienced by the customer, and what can they do to improve on that? Even those that are doing it well, what can they do to make that better? So again, that experience is expected across the entire channel, and keeping that customer engaged is really important going forward. And so when we think about retail, there's really some themes that have emerged. The one I just talked about was these new set of expectations, and how does a retailer transform that experience? And so what I wanted to share was a few ways, based on what Windstream has to offer, that we can help with that, just to make sure that you all are aware of that. So we have, from the customer's perspective, leading with that digital first mindset. Even some of the demographics that maybe weren't using online ordering, like for groceries or just online ordering in general, that's become more of a digital first mindset. And what do we have for that? Well, if you don't know, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a few slides, but we have a point of sale offering. It's a retail cloud offering for point of sale that can be offered to our customers and prospects. And what that has is the capability of online ordering, as well as a cloud-based POS, which is very important these days. And so that's something that we can offer today, in case you are not aware of that. Also, the idea of contactless commerce, and being able to be engaged with the customer while staying safe. So we've got our Office Suite product that can help with that engagement piece, with both SMS texting to help maybe in curbside, or HD meeting for some of the communication pieces. So we've got a number of things like that that can help in this environment. And then contactless payment, again, back to point of sale, but our point of sale system, gives the ability for mobile ordering, mobile payment, as well as tap to pay, and that contactless experience that customers are looking for. And then another theme that's been very prevalent is, just this idea of planning for business continuity and supporting this distributed workforce with, more working from home happening. But on the distribution and fulfillment side, there's some areas we can help. Call centers are big in retail, and we've got solutions that can meet a customer's needs there, with remote support, agility, with our Office Suite contact center, real-time status chat, for monitoring of agent efficiency, and so on. We can help in that area for any size customer that has a need there, as well as the fulfillment center with SD-WAN, secure remote access, etc. So we've got some great stories, great solutions that can help with that. On the cloud-based solutions, we again have the SD-WAN, and giving that visibility and control and dedicated access to third-party cloud providers and ecosystems, so that we can help in that area. And then, of course, this is not a new thing, the security piece, but it's, I think, been maybe a more heightened awareness of late, where more DDoS attacks, and how retailers trying to figure out, okay, how do they combat this? If they, and in many cases, they don't have the IT resources in-house that can that really can bring the tools to bear. So they need help with that. Well, we've got security experts on staff that we can bring in to have those conversations. We can also do staff augmentation. And then again, if a customer or prospect you're talking to, they're sort of lagging in the whole security piece, we have a fully managed enterprise for security and compliance solutions. So whether they're looking for PCI or what, we have solutions that can help there. And these are all things that are really important today. So just to kind of circle back, these are the themes that we have, that have emerged, and these are the solutions that can help with each of those. And I wanted to share a success story about a retailer, and I think this is a good one. And this has a lot of the common themes as we talk to retailers across the country, and maybe different types of retailers. We hear some of the same challenges that they have. In this case, they had a lot of network outages. They didn't have the resiliency. They had legacy technology, wasn't supported by their vendor any longer, so it had been end of life. They had a small IT team. They had some bandwidth with needs that weren't being addressed. So for this retailer, and they have about 80 locations across the country, but we provided the high availability SD-WAN concierge, as well as unified communications, HD meeting, and gave them that single provider that really they were looking for, because they just didn't have the bandwidth to manage a number of different providers and vendors. And this was very successful in this environment. So they virtually eliminated their network outages, went to have reliable phone from their antiquated legacy system. In this case, they also lowered their cost of ownership, which I think is a good story. It doesn't happen in every case, but many times we're able to provide more functionality. So provide more at a cost neutral place, or even in this case, a cost saving. So, again, that's where we have these resources that can come in. These experts can design a solution to meet the customer's needs and, and their budget as well. And in this case, again, they had this IT, small team. We hear that almost in every single retailer I talk to. They have a small IT staff. They needed to focus on other things, but they were spending their days, just keeping the lights on. And that was, taking away from other strategic things they could be doing. The other thing that happened with this customer is they were already down the path with SD-WAN when the pandemic hit. And they were talking to the Windstream account team about, some of the challenges they were having connecting to their stores. They were, typically they would visit the store managers, visit the stores, and that's how they stayed engaged. But because of travel restrictions, they couldn't do this. And our team suggested, hey, why don't you try using the HD meeting for your engagement with your store managers, for staying connected with the staff? And that's just what they did. And they, so that was sort of icing on the cake of this success story, that wasn't really anticipated, but, as an outcome of at the time, they were able to leverage that. So it was a great story. I want to spend a couple minutes, and I alluded to this earlier, but talk about Windstream POS Cloud. This is for retail or restaurants. And just if you didn't know, we do have a cloud-based point of sale. It's managed by Windstream. So what that means is we do the support. We work with the customer or prospect if they're interested, to get them onboarded, to help them put together their database, to help them, really do all the things they need to do to get their products into the system. And so it's managed by Windstream. We do the support on it 24/7, 365. But under the covers, it's powered by NCR. So for those of you that I'm sure you all have heard of NCR, but they're very big in hospitality, very big in financial as well. So very, very common, you'll see NCR in the marketplace with regard to point of sale. So we've got a very good system that we can deploy. It has some of the key things that customers are looking for now. It's got contactless payment. It's got different order modes, the ability to do online ordering, mobile, and even an email marketing application that is really part of this solution that our retailers can use if they want to do some emailing campaigns and maybe they don't have a different marketing platform that they use. So, whether it's a retailer with, a boutique, or it's a sandwich shop or a service-based business, this is something that you can present to your customers. And it really also expands the conversation with your customers. So sometimes we start off talking about point of sale, but we end up in another area, like maybe talking about UCaaS or maybe talking about SD-WAN. So I think this is also a good conversation starter as well. So if you want more information or you'd like a demo, then feel free to reach out to me and we'll coordinate that. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes on this slide. I like this slide because it's like all the things that we do for retail on one slide. So starting at the top, I just mentioned cloud point of sale. We've got that, connectivity, of course, our SD-WAN, which, we refer to when we're talking to retailers as our uptime assurance. We've got our network design and project management. And like I mentioned a second ago, we design a solution that's really tailored to the customer, what they're looking for, what their goals are, what their roadmap is, what their budget is, and, help them to be flexible and scalable. And so we have experts on staff that can do that. And I think that's really powerful, especially in today's environment, because as we know, things are going to continue to change. Of course, we have our security solutions, including PCI compliance and secure remote access. If you don't know, we have our white glove professional services. So that is also part of Tony's team that he mentioned, strategic services. But this group is great when you have a customer that's looking to basically replicate something across their chain. So you want to install something, whether it's low voltage cabling or do some compliance work or install APs or what have you. They can be brought in to work with the customer to understand their needs and really design a solution or an implementation program around whatever it is the customer is looking to deploy. This would include, we don't have IoT solutions. Somebody asked the question prior to our session today whether we sell IoT solutions, Internet of Things solutions like sensors and things like that. We don't sell. We're more, I guess, a part of the engagement process. So we could get our professional services engaged for that, or we can bring other expert resources to the table to consult for that. So we have those in-house resources, and I would say if you have a customer, not knowing exactly who asked this question or what the specifics were, if you have a customer that's interested in that and they need some help, then definitely reach out, and that could be an area we can assist with. And then, of course, unified communications. We have solutions for that, which I talked about a little earlier, and our mobility, Wi-Fi analytics. And of course, we're seeing these implemented at a greater rate these days, indoor, outdoor Wi-Fi, especially with some of the curbside, location-based, geolocation. So, that's why I like to talk to this slide, is these are all the things that we can provide in a retail environment. And then last but not least is really just our advisory, bringing the right resources to talk to the customer about the store of the future. What's a roadmap look like? How can we help them get from point A to point B? And I want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about implementation. You know, as I talk to customers, this is an area that there is concern as they are trying to, you know, talk to a new provider or a new company. They want to make sure, maybe they've had a bad experience in the past with one of their other providers, and they want to make sure that the implementation piece is going to be solid. And I think that's an area where we really do stand out. And we can design an implementation program based on the customer's priorities, their time frame, and you know, we can scale accordingly. We've got dedicated resources that can be assigned, on-site technicians, but that dedicated account team that I have at the bottom, that's pre and post implementation. So that's the ongoing team that's going to be with the customer, you know, after the fact, once they get implemented, and it's, you know, ongoing day to day. Those are the people that are going to help that customer continue to succeed, and those resources don't go away once they're implemented. And I know we had a short video talking about WeConnect a little bit earlier, but I like to just highlight this again. This is our digital experience portal that we call WeConnect. This is a great tool. If you have not seen a demo of this, I would encourage you to get with your channel integration rep and ask for a demo. This is really phenomenal. Really gives the customer this visibility across the entire enterprise to all their devices, their bandwidth, all applications to really monitor, dig into the details, and really be able to assess where they're at, both, you know, through their computer or their mobile app. And this is very powerful. And it's, you know, we're continuing to add functionality and improve on this as we go. We've developed this in-house. This is a great tool. So with that, I will turn it over to my partner in crime, Mary, to publish our survey results.
Yeah, all right, so can everyone see this? We had 11 people that voted, and we had 64% of the attendants have 0 to 25% that are retail or restaurant, and then 36% said, you know, 26 to 50%. So.
Thank you. I can't see it, but I thank you for.
Here, can you see it now?
Oh, there we go.
Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
That's great.
Thanks for participating, everybody.
Yes, thank you. All right, so we will now wanted to spend just a couple of minutes and we'll take some questions. This worked out perfectly. We have 5 minutes left. And so if there's any questions in the chat, or you want to type into chat, go ahead and I'll have somebody monitoring that and read those off to me. Or if you just want to unmute and ask the question, that's fine too. But I wanted to highlight our next partner portfolio. That's hard to say today. And that's in 2 weeks, same time frame, with John Hamilton. And John is our healthcare services consultant in the West, part of our industries team. And so John, you know John, he knows all things healthcare, and he will, you know, talk to us about that in 2 weeks. So make sure you sign up for that one. So with that, are there any questions? Chat or?
Yeah, actually, I just got one in chat. So what type of solutions are most common for retailers from Windstream?
You know, I think what comes to mind for me for retail would be SD-WAN, because and the reason is for SD-WAN, it's really all about the applications. You know, in the retail environment, that's critical. They've got critical business apps that are in store that they need to make sure, you know, they have working. That's why when I'm talking to a retailer, I don't really use, you know, SD-WAN so much as that's our uptime assurance. That's how we make sure that everything's running the way it should be. The other thing I think about is our UCaaS product, our Unified Communications Tools. And that's the engagement piece. So not only, you know, is it important to engage with the customer, of course, and we've got, you know, there's tools within that where you can do that. So whether it's, you know, using, you know, IVR for routing calls, or using soft phones for curbside, or SMS texting for curbside. We've got the tools that our customers can use to engage with both staff and their customers. And I think that's, you know, it's important, this staying engaged, especially when sometimes we're not really in front of somebody, but staying engaged with them is critical. And then lastly, and again, this is not a new thing, but just the PCI and security solutions that we provide. Of course, this is protecting the brand. This is ensuring that your customer's data is protected, ensuring that there's not, you know, there's going to be all measures in place so that, you know, you're preventing these threats that are coming, you know, more and more often these days, and following the compliance that needs to happen along with PCI. So those are the three that I would think about. And I think we have, maybe if there's any other questions, we could take one more, but if not, then we can give you back the gift of time.
Yeah, I don't see anything else in chat. So yeah, if there's no more questions.
All right, well, you know, I just want to say thank you. I know you guys are all guys and gals are all very busy, and we appreciate you taking the time to join in our conversation today. So join us again in 2 weeks, and we will have more great info to share. So Tony, any final thoughts?
Nope. I think we got it there, Sue, but I certainly appreciate everyone taking the time to join us today. And again, we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.